thank you a lot for coming to this session, and I hope we can build a nice time together here. So let's start. We're going to talk a little bit about forms in Liferay DXP and how can we build powerful applications on 7.1 from web apps to mobile apps and extension points from forms. Okay? So starting here, let's say you have a mission, you have an idea, you need to build an app for whatever reason you have. So this app is form-based, and you have to make this app available in several platforms, like your web app and Android devices, iOS devices, and save your entries to the cloud. Okay? This might seem simple if you think in Liferay Forms, but in the regular way, if you build from HTML from scratch, it might be really, really hard. So to give you an example on how hard this can be, in Expedia 2012, Expedia is a website. I don't know if you heard about it, but you can book rooms or rent cars in this website. So in 2012, they had this form when they want to rent a car or rent a car or something, room. I forgot the verb. Yeah, it's good. So they had this screen here when in the credit card information, where you had the first name, last name, the card holder, the address, and the city. It might be tricky, though, but a lot of people would fill this form like this. My name, my last name, the card holder, the address of the card holder, which can be a bank, and the city of the card holder. And this extra field in the middle cost Expedia $12 million in 2012. Okay? So they just removed this field, and they earned $12 million more in their accounts. Okay, imagine that you have to remove this field in all these devices you build your application on. So you will remove on the web, in each app you build, and even in the implementation to the cloud, we had to. If Expedia lost $12 million with this, imagine if we have to wait for publishers like Google Play to wait for like 1 day to publish a new app, or App Store to 8 hours to build an app. So you could lose a lot of money with that. And how can we avoid this? How can we improve this time? How can we optimize this time, considering all these demands? So this presentation will be split in 2 parts. In Forms in Liferay DXP 7.1, and what we have new on it, and also the Forms API in some demos. Okay? Let's start with the Forms on Liferay DXP 7.1. So these are the main features of Forms in 7.1. Jorge mentioned some of them in the opening of the DevCon today, but these are the main features, not the only ones. Starting with the new form fields. If you guys used Liferay 7.0, you probably saw these 6 fields: paragraph, text, select, radio, date, and checkbox. But in 7.1, we have these 3 extra fields: grid, numeric, and upload field. The grid field is if you have rows and columns to answer some questions in your form. You're going to have an example later in the presentation, so it's going to be clear for you. Numeric field, you can perform calculations by using these kind of fields. And upload field, we can upload files to the Documents and Media portlet in Liferay. And with these 9 field types, we can build a lot of apps, a lot of surveys. But if you're not satisfied with that, we have the new Forms field type API to customize and build how many fields you want in your forms, in whichever way you prefer. Okay, we also have field library. So let's say we have the address field library, field set, where this is usable in a lot of different applications through different forms. And this is what field library is about. I can reuse this in several forms, in different locations. I just need to create one element set and reuse how many times I want. Okay? This is new too in 7.1. We also have support for translation. Like Jorge said today, it's very useful here in in Europe, for example, where you build a form in a language and you want to make it available in several other languages with the same link. So this is possible through Liferay Forms in 7.1. Nice. And the coolest feature in Forms that came with 7.1 are the form rules, conditional groups. Who of you came the last year to my presentation? Yeah, okay. Don't worry, I won't repeat the presentation from last year with a lot of slides talking about rules. It's going to be an overview. So I have the require rule, where based on a condition, I can require all the fields in my form, make them required. Looks like the enable field, but instead of require, I can enable or disable fields based on a previous condition. Autofill. A very common use case for this is if I give a zip code, I can fill other fields with street and country and state, like in the US. The show, I can show or hide fields based on conditions. Let's say I'm single, but in a form they asked, how's the name of my spouse? If I don't have a spouse, I don't need to answer this field. So this customization gives this power to hide this field. Jump to page is an extension of the show rule, but instead of hiding one field, you can jump whole pages in your form. And finally, calculate. Imagine when you go back home and you need to ask for reimbursement for your bosses for coming to DEVCON. So you might use a form to create a expense sheet using numeric fields and performing calculations. Cool. Why did it stop? Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay. And more features. Like I said, those weren't the only ones. We have the UX improvements in forms. Now you can create forms by doing drag and drop. You can change field types without having to delete them and creating them again, and a lot of cool stuff. We have export to XLS. That means you can export your forms entries to Excel and create nice graphics and analytics with it. We have integration with external data providers, so I can select in text fields with my external services. For example, I can fill a select field with all the countries in the world using a Liferay service. Validation support. I have some open fields like text field and numeric. I can limit the inputs by using a validation. Forms supports this. I can demand a user authentication in my form. So I don't want everybody to see my form, just who has a Liferay login. And finally, autosave. I don't want to lose my job when I lose my job. I mean, what I fill my form, either on the form builder or on the form user view, right? So autosave is enabled for both parts of it. Okay, now the exciting part of the presentation. We're going to talk about the forms, APIs, and few cool demos. All right. The first one is the Forms Screenlet. Our mobile team in Brazil has put a lot of effort in this feature, and they're really cool. I'm going to present them to you today. So some of you may know what is a Liferay screens. You know Liferay screens? Cool. For those who don't know what is it, it's a set of components you can use natively on Liferay. For example, I have a login portlet, and I have a native implementation both for iOS and Android by using screens. And now, guys, we have a Forms Screenlet. So I just need to give a form ID, and I can generate a form both in Android and iOS, like that. Cool. And what benefits I have with this? Mainly those three. Let's go one by one. I can improve my omnichannel experience. Omnichannel is the capability of making my user use several devices seamlessly. I mean, no noticing he's changing devices or has a continuous experience by using different devices. So, for example, in Forms Screenlet, you can start filling a form in your web browser and continue on your mobile devices. And also, Omnichannel is giving the best a device can provide to a person. So here in web, we have this grid field. The new grid I told you, the field I told you is 7.1. So responsively, it looks like this. It's not bad, but it's not so good as it could be, like it is in Android. Our design teams thought a lot on this feature, and they made it very easy to use on Android. So Screens allows that. I can give specific implementations to features in different devices. Cool. The next one, we use form rules. All the cool features Forms has in web can be reused in mobile devices as well. So I don't need to re-implement everything all the time. It's everything there out of the box. And finally, I can sync my changes instantly. So if I change my form on web, I don't need to publish them again in my App Store or in Google Play. I just need to reload my form, and it's going to be there. And I have a demo to prove that. Cool. These are the three things I have with Screenlets. And let's go to the first demo. Cool. Oh, no. Okay. Demo number 1. I have this insurance quote form, and I'm going to start filling it right now. So my first name is Pedro. My last name is Queiroz. You can notice all my changes are being saved as I type them. Cool. And I want to answer some questions about my habits, since it's an insurance quote, and the insurance wants to make sure I'm a good person or I won't lose their money. So they can make some questions like, how often do I drink? How often do I do drugs? How often do I crash my car? Okay? So I'll answer sometimes here, but I don't want to continue filling this form right now. Come on, guys. You got the wrong reason. I'm going to get a Uber now, and I don't have time to fill in this form right now. No problem, right? I should have closed this before, but if I open my app, it's going to ask me if I want to continue filling my form. And I'm going to say yes. And that it is. My answer is there. Okay, you can be curious about this. I'll be very honest with you. I never do drugs. Okay, and I don't want to keep filling here as well. I can just reload in my web pages. And it's over there too. So, Omnichannel, guys. I fill in one platform, and it's going to reflect in others. Cool. Let's continue here. Oh, I have another nice cool thing to show you about this. I don't want to have my first and my last name. I just want to have, for example, full name. All right? I saved my form. I go to my Screenlet. I'll just reload this. And this changes there. I don't need to republish to my stores. Cool? Nice. Let's keep going. The second demo I have for you is the storage adapter. What's that? I'm going to manage forms entries in third-party backend systems. What this means, I can save my form entries in other backends, like, for example, AWS or redeploy, and everything you think of. And it's like basically a CRUD, where you have a create, get, update, and delete entries. Let's see this demo as well. Okay, let's go back to the front page, demo number 2. So, I'm really excited about being here. It's just to prove it's right, 12:20 o'clock. Sure, submit. Cool, I have no entries here in my redeploy data. I'm just gonna reload, and that it is. I saved my form entries in another backend system, in Liferay. And how might be the code for this? I have to implement a storage adapter, okay, which is a component. So, how do I go back here. Okay, sorry about that. Won't do this again. So I just have to perform the CRUD, like I said. So I can create a form entry. Okay, so I'm using the redeploy API to save my form entries on the web. I can delete by using the redeploy API as well as I can get my entries and update them. Okay, and I just need to implement a form API, and it's going to be there in 7.1, and you can do this for whichever system you have. Counting, you know how to implement the backend system and how to save, you know how to save answers on there. Cool. Now the demo number 3 is I can create forms programmatically, which means we have a lot of features in the UI, right? But not all of them are available for the UI. Some of them are only in backend for now because we didn't have time to put in front end yet. But you can extract this power from backend like that as well. Let's see that. We can create form structures, layouts, and rules using API. And also we have a domain-specific language to deal with that using annotations. Let's see how is this. I have my demo number 3. And I have all these forms over here. Let's see the required one. It was a form. It looks ugly because I just created in the API. I didn't put labels on it and stuff. But the better part of it is in the API itself. Why don't I have tabs here? Okay. It's very small. Oh no, it's good. So I don't need to. Okay, form sample portlet. The required showed you. Cool. Can you see? Is everything good there? Back there? No enough? Okay, let me. Better now? Okay. Of course, Marcellus would help me with this. But let's see what this means. I have a DDM form layout with a single page. Okay. In this layout, I define which fields I want in my form, which are the pickup location, the return deferred location, pickup date, return date, age, insurance coverage. And down here, I can define each of those fields by using the DDM form field annotation. So in the age field, which is a select field, I can have these labels and these values. Same for insurance coverage, which is a checkbox multiple field. And I have these option values and these option labels. Pickup date is a date field, just that. Pickup location is just a string, so I don't have to put any properties. Return date is another date field, and also the return different location is a checkbox multiple, and with one only option. So this is going to be rendered by our form handler API. And up here, we have a DDM form rule, which I have a condition. If age belongs to group A, I'll set required the insurance coverage to true. Let's see how this reflects there. So if I choose group A, this field gets required. It's very discreet, but that's what it does. Cool? Just using the API. Okie dokie. Let's move forward. And the form handler tag lib. This was very requested by our GS teams and for a lot of clients because it was very verbose to build a form and render them in a screen. So we fixed that for 7.1. It's going to be probably in G8.3 or something. But you can render a form just passing a form ID. And you can use them in your custom apps, custom portlets, MFC portlets in Liferay, like I say here. So you can easily render a form. You can make forms useful in any kind of app. We use every rule, so if you build in the web, you saw it's going to be used in mobile and also in your custom apps. And finally, this makes our forms more flexible. You can use the forms whichever way you want. I did just a simple example here, where I have 2 tabs. In each tab, I have a different form. Cool? So just a different way of rendering. But imagine we have a very complex form with several tabs for insurance campaign or something, and you have each session to be a form. And this is achievable by using the tag lab. Cool? Our GS team has done this recently, and they're really happy with that. And I have an Easter egg for you. We had a hackathon in Recife like 2 weeks ago. And our mission was to make Liferay more useful for us and for our clients. And our team, I will just show you. I don't want to spoil it. So we created a chatbot that consumes the Forms API to render the questions over there, right? And I can save my form too by using the chatbot. So what is your name? Pedro, again. You're tired of knowing this? Nice. This talks to me. What's your age? I'm 24 years old. Not 224. I'm enjoying DEVCON for sure. Cool. And now he asked me if I want to submit this form. And, oops, I say yes, I want to. Thank you. Okay. So if you don't trust me, it has really submitted a form. View entries is over there. 7 seconds ago. Thank you. We are really proud of it too. But it was just a kid game. It's not official yet, but it's just to showcase the power of forms within Liferay, right? You can just use our APIs to build whichever application you want, even a chatbot. Cool. And let's go back here. I had the Easter egg. And 7.2. I don't have much to talk about it, but what can I promise to you is we want to make developers' lives better, right? By improving our APIs, making it easier for you to guys build awesome applications. So you won't evolve the Forms app like it is. It's going to stay how it is. We're going to go a step back and improve the API. So you can do whatever you want with the Forms API, whichever extension point you want. So if you have any feedback about this is the time, because we are building the 7.2 right now. Come to me after the presentation or right now if you want, to the questions. But bring your feedback and we can build a better product for all of us. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Pedro. We do have time for questions. If anyone has questions, maybe. Yes. 1 second. I will try to quickly move over there.
Hi. Looking great. I have actually 2 questions. The first one was related to you were able to skip pages, but what happens if there are mandatory fields, required fields inside a page you skip? Mm-hmm. Is there logic that will allow you to skip those, or?
Yeah, you don't get stuck on these fields. You can just submit a form. They won't be required if you jump them.
Okay. And the second one is, if you have multiple sites and you have a form created inside A and you want it to be used inside C as well, is there any, because now you can't, mm-hmm. Now you have to completely rebuild it or make a copy, or is it possible to reuse it?
Okay, about this, I'm not sure if we could create forms in global site and get reflected in other sites. I'm not sure. But one thing you can do is exporting the Forms app and importing. But we can talk and we can get this requirement for you.
Okay.
We really want to copy single forms and import in other sites. It was something we were talking about.
Okay.
Thank you. Here.
More? 1 second. 1 second.
Thank you. Are the unsaved forms available for stats? So if the customers wants to make an analysis on uncompleted forms, it can be?
They are available even if they're not complete.
Okay, so I can find inside the entries the uncompleted forms. Great.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
thank you.
can disable this option too. You can either save automatically or not. But principle, it's going to be there. All the drafts and the approved versions of forms.
Okay, and the autosave feature is available also for 7.0?
No, just 7.1.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
No problem.
Thanks. Hi, I'm going to build up on the question regarding the autosaving. Basically, how does that work based on, let's say, like input fields, and when do you actually autosave? My question is basically regarding the possible database I/O. You know, when you have like hundreds of sessions and people just keep changing their inputs.
Yeah.
How do you tackle that?
Okay, currently, as is implemented in 7.1, is each 1 minute. I did a fragment here to save as a type in a debouncer, but yeah, that's how we do today.
Cheers, thanks.
Thank you very much. If you fill up a form, is there a way to trigger a process? Like, how can I say, if you have
Workflow?
like, sorry? No, it's not about validations. It's like you fill out a form and you attach a file, and then you trigger a process like sending this file to all the employees, and then they will receive like a task and confirmation.
Okay, we have the workflow integration with forms. You can trigger a workflow after you submit a form, and probably you can do what you're meaning. Yeah.
More questions? Okay. I was taking the bike this morning, but I didn't expect this much exercise.
If I add a data provider, I have to put in the username and the password. So is there a way that it takes the password and user of the current user, so that I only get the results I am allowed to, that I have permission checker?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
If I add a data provider,
Mm-hmm.
I have to put in there the username and the credentials.
Yes.
So is there a way that it takes the user who is fill out the form, so that they don't see everything, only the items I should?
I don't think so yet. I don't think we do this. We filter by user.
Okay,
Yeah.
and what do you put there? An admin user, or if I want to give a selection of user?
So I don't quite get what you mean yet, sorry. Like, you want to filter a data provider by user or something?
As I
Like-
understood it right, I can give a drop down with all users to select one.
Yeah,
And for this, I need to make a data provider.
okay.
And what are the credentials?
Okay, so if your external service doesn't demand any login, you don't need to put anything there. These are for Liferay service, for example, who demand authentication. So you put your credentials from Liferay there in order to retrieve Liferay services. But if your service doesn't demand
Okay, but
authentication,
there I have to put in a general user, a technical user.
yeah, it could be a general user. Yeah,
Couldn't be the current logged in user.
yeah, we can improve this. We can talk. I think we have room to improvements in this screen.
Okay.
So yeah.
Thank you.
Do you have future plans regarding data visualization?
Okay, this is gonna be in 7.3 at least. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry about that.
Hi. Is there a way to configure an auto-reply content based on value of a field? let's say, if you have two values in a drop-down field, that you can configure two different content for auto replies to the email?
Oh, no.
No?
No, not really. Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
We have ended our time slot. So thank you, everyone. And thank you, Pedro.
Thank you, guys.